After 17 wickets fell on day one of the first test, only three fell on day two, and all three were of the remaining Australian batters. Bumrah did Bumrah things, Hazelwood was a machine, and Indian openers remain unbeaten at the crease at the end of day two. We even saw Marnus bowl some bouncers today. So I've got an Australian fan with me, Charbel, as usual, and my co-host, who I'm pretty sure has some really strong thoughts after a difficult day to watch of this test match. So please take it away, Charbel.
If you don't laugh, you'll cry. You summed it up there perfectly. Speaking of summing it up, one thing I was thinking about today is I think this test match perfectly sums up the last 10 years of the Border-Gavaskar Trophy, how it's gone. When India have their backs against the wall, which they did yesterday, they'll come out swinging, they'll come out fighting,
Yep.
and they'll often come out on top.
Yep.
They believe they can turn it around. When Australia have their backs against the wall, we don't have the belief or the ability to turn it around. And I'll touch on that in a sec. Because India yesterday, you're out for 150 after winning the toss and batting first in the first test of the series. It'd be very easy in that situation to feel sorry for yourself. To maybe come out with not the same belief that you maybe would have had if you had bowled first at the start of the day. You're out for 150, you haven't started well, but it was the opposite. They came out believing that they could actually take a lead and blow Australia away. The intensity yesterday from the Indians was absolutely incredible. With Bumrah and Kohli and the Indians around the Aussies, they gave us nothing. That's exactly what we needed today. We needed to do, we needed to be like that with a new ball. We had to be all in that new ball period. As we've seen so far in this test match, it's a new ball pitch
Yep.
because Mitch Starc and
Yep.
Josh Hazlewood batted over 100 balls in that last wicket partnership with the ball a little bit older. Right? The older ball not doing as much. So that new ball is critical. We had to go all in that period. And I thought the bowling, Josh Hazlewood was good, but I
He
thought
was a
there was
machine. I mean, that guy is
at the with the
relentless.
new ball, it was excellent. And then in the final session, amazing. But I thought Cummins and Stark not at their best, and the overall intensity from the Aussies in that new ball period was not great. And that's pretty much, yeah, the summary of the last 10 years of this sort of series is that when Australia have got in a good position, we don't capitalize as happened
I mean,
yesterday. And,
that's really
and then today, we've got our backs against the wall. We have to step up. And I didn't see the belief or the intensity there today with that new ball. And then you have the 22-year-old Jaiswal telling Stark he's not fast enough.
oh, that was brilliant. That was
It,
brilliant.
it couldn't get any worse. There it
That
is,
was brilliant.
bloody hell.
And Stark couldn't do anything. Stark was just laughing. Like he couldn't do much.
We're not in a position to do anything.
He was
It was
bowling
we had
140
to show that
plus.
fight and that intent and that all in attitude at the start. And
And
then
it's
Jaiswal and KL Rahul from there were incredible.
that's
Brilliant
something I
partnership.
really want to ask you as an Australian fan and as someone who grew up watching Australia and we were given examples of the way Australians play cricket and learn from them and in late 90s early 2000s and like you particularly said when Australia in this test match or in the last 10 years have their backs against the wall, they haven't had those performances who someone who will step up and say put their hands up and say I'll do it for the team, which is really striking to me because that's all I could see growing up in the 90s 2000s. Anyone, you get Hayden and Langer out, you got Ponting, you get Ponting out, you got Martin, you get Martin out, you got Gilchrist and Simons and
Yep.
Gillespie has 200 as well. So it's where what was the body language of the Australians today? Where do you
Yeah.
think they lacked, and could they have done something different? And sorry, last question: Pat Cummins and Rohit Sharma, similar captains when things don't go their way.
Well, the body language, I thought was quite poor at the start. As I said, I thought I expected Australia to really come out all guns blazing, throw everything at India. Um, yeah, I thought it was a bit defeatist in a way. It's like
Mm.
we're out for 104. We didn't bat well. We're not up and about here. We don't really, the Indian openers, they probably didn't hear a pin drop on the field. You could hear a pin drop on the field. You couldn't hear anything from the fielders, from anyone really. So and you sort of compare that with last night and what India did. So that was disappointing. I expected more intent from the new ball.
Yeah,
And so, what was your other question? Oh, Cummins
yeah,
captaincy.
Cummins and Sharma, they look pretty
Um,
similar to me when things don't go their
yeah,
way.
Yeah, I thought he kept plugging away with the slips and the gully. And Australia bowled pretty well in that final session, but maybe a lack of plan B was probably the issue. And I probably that's probably an issue with Cummins, I'd say, in the captaincy. If things are going a bit different, what's your plan B? And we saw, when he was under pressure in last year's Ashes,
Yep.
sort of went very defensive there and waited for mistakes. How are you going to be proactive and take wickets when things don't go your way? I think he's still probably got to improve in that area. But yeah, once you don't take a wicket with that new ball, it's very, very difficult. And then Kawaja drops a catch and we miss a
Yeah,
run out
yep.
opportunity the next ball. That was killer as well. You've got to take your chances in
Well,
that
Nathan
situation.
Lyon,
So
at least this time, Nathan Lyon caught the ball. A subtle reference to the Ashes
you
2019.
you are terrible. You are terrible. You are a bad man.
Well, he at least caught the ball this time. But yeah, um, look, I think like
Pathetic.
you said,
Anyway,
Australian bowlers, as far as I can remember, this set of bowlers, or even when Tim Paine was captain, or even previous management, they don't seem to have a plan B. They always just go with the vibes and go with the flows, thinking, oh, the batters will make a mistake, and that has worked out for them on some pitches, but it might not always work out as we have seen today.
mm, they
You know,
plugged away well in the last session, to be fair. I thought we bowled well
yes,
in the last session, but yeah, on this
but
surface, you've got to
they
strike with a
did
new
bowl
pill.
well. I thought they it was like 27 runs of 17 overs at the start of the session, and then a flurry
Yes,
of boundaries in the last few overs as well, with boundaries to point and six over long on.
great
all
batting.
credit all credit to the batters, all credit to Jaiswal and KL Rahul today. I mean, the way KL has batted in this test, I mean, he deserves all the credit. He deserves all the love that he's getting. And Jaiswal, oh, I mean, what a cricketer. I mean, he is, as I tweeted, he is no doubt one of the mentally toughest cricketer in today's cricket. The hardships that he has already gone in his life
Yeah,
has
his
made him
story is
has
amazing.
has made him a tough person, has made him a tough cricketer, and he's just immune to the ups and downs of test cricket, and he's going to fail plenty of times. I'm not saying he's some reincarnation
Yeah,
of Don Bradman or Sachin, but he's going to
yeah,
fail plenty of times. He's going to fail a lot, and he's
yep,
one of those cricketers who has the ability to come back strong after a failure, and he's shown that today.
yep. So placing Australia in Perth is just like child's play for him, given what he's been through in his
Yep.
life. And we've spoken during the year that he's the potential great all round or all format player for India.
Yep.
He's got that ability to be patient, but at the same time, he's hit the most sixes in a calendar year. So he's
Yes.
got those aspects to his game where he's got that balance where he plays very well in white ball cricket and can dominate in test cricket, and then also really be patient and knuckle down in the longest format of the game. When you have that ability, very good. And I'm happy for KL Rahul. Not happy it's come against us, but he cops a lot on
Yeah,
social
he does.
media and
He
he cops
does.
a lot in the media. He cops a lot. Um, because he was looking a bit of a forlorn figure after that India A Australia A game. He didn't look himself. He didn't look himself. I thought in the Bangladesh series at home when India were playing there, he looked all over the place mentally. But in this game, one of his best performances. He has batted incredibly well. Just an absolute masterclass in dealing with the moving ball
Yep.
and dealing with the new ball and getting through that period. Yeah,
The
he's
the
been
the
terrific in this game, and it's just more confusion to me. Why he averages 33 in Test cricket before
oh,
this game? 53 matches, averaged 33 with that ability.
the
It's
most
a real weird one with KL
the
Rahul.
beautiful thing about India's batting today is they've got boundary every now and then. They've got a boundary with a really good shot. It's not like an edged boundary through the slip. They've got a like that six of the legs of Mitch Stark, and boundaries
Yeah,
through point, and that beautiful KL Rahul straight drive on drive. And they've got the boundaries, but the most beautiful thing is they are not carried away by those boundaries. They took every
that was
ball.
very good today.
Yeah, they took every ball as an individual event. They took every ball to its merit, and played every ball to its merit. So they haven't, just because they're getting they got a boundary, they haven't tried to cultivate a shot out of nowhere. Um, they watched the ball till the end. Left the ball beautifully outside the off, and To be fair, they got beaten a few times as well. Like I said, Hazelwood at an economy of 0.9. I mean, bowled
It was
beautifully.
fantastic. Hazelwood was outstanding.
And that's what
Yeah.
Test cricket is, isn't it? That you get one chance, which was dropped by Khawaja out of 57 overs. I mean, it was pretty chanceless batting, except that one shot, one dropped catch that I remember.
Yep, yep. And they played the long game,
Yep.
Jaiswal and Rahul. And you're going to get beaten in Test cricket, but the skill is forgetting about it and then focusing on the next ball. I think players today can panic and think about what's happened
Mm,
previously, and then it affects the next ball. But we're all taught as kids, when I was playing, when you were playing, that the only thing that matters is the next ball that's coming at you. So
yes,
they played
absolutely.
beautifully, these two. And another thing about India in the Border-Gavaskar Trophy is when they get on top, they don't let Australia back in. And this has been an example of that today. We let India back in the game many times. We let India back in the series all the time when it comes to the last decade. But India, when they're on top, they drive the advantage home, and they've done it today. Three
And
wickets fell, and it was all us.
I was talking with my friends, and I was chatting, and we were chatting about it as well. I was saying anything between 150 and 175 should be, hopefully they get something between 150 and 175, and that was the team score, not the lead. So that means the lead would be
Yeah,
200, but they've got 172
yeah,
for no loss.
yeah,
This wasn't even a distant dream for me, to be honest. The way Indian batting has gone in the last few months, this wasn't even a distant dream. And
yeah.
to be honest, fair play to both the batters today, and hopefully they capitalize tomorrow, go big, put that final nail in the coffin, get the lead about 300, 350, and then it's India's game.
Yeah, so I was talking yesterday, like if it's a good pitch, even 300 might be too much for us, given the way we're struggling at the moment with the bat, all the
Sorry, we
frailties.
saw a few glimpses of the cracks opening up with ball staying a bit low or moving
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There was a
laterally.
few opening, yeah, and tomorrow's going to be, I think, the hottest day
Yep.
so far in the Test match. So more sunbaking on the pitch and more batting for India. Yeah, if I'm India, I'm just looking to bat as long as possible, grind Australia into in the dirt,
Mm,
get 350, 400 plus, go plus, and then yeah,
absolutely.
we're not getting that. We're not getting
Absolutely.
that. So yeah, it's very disappointing
As an
from an
Australian,
Aussie perspective.
as an Australian, what are you hoping for tomorrow? What's the best case scenario for Australia? Where
Yeah,
where do you think, what's an achievable target?
the best case scenario will be, so there's 23 overs to that new ball. We pick up a few wickets with the old ball, and then we run through India with that second new ball. That's the best case scenario, and give us a target where you're going to get an almighty collapse, but under 350 would be a great, situation to be in from where we are now. If we keep the lead under 350, it'd be an awesome result. I take that,
But
but
if you
they're
were, if
218 for no loss.
sorry, here's a different question. If you were to
Mm.
win, what is the target you hope they'll achieve?
If we are to win,
What's
I
a
don't think
gettable target basically? What's a
we
gettable
won't chase
target?
anything above 300. So the only hope is you get under, you leave them under 300. That was me at the start of the
I
innings.
like how your answers are diplomatic.
Anything above 250, 300, I thought even at the start we're in trouble the way we're batting. And Bumrah, I mean, we haven't even spoken about him today. We spoke a lot about
Oh,
him yesterday, but first ball he bowls today, gets the big wicket of Alex Carey. Just relentless, too good.
I mean,
And
credit has to be given to Mitch Stark as well. He batted really well. He batted out of
Mitch
his
Stark did
depth,
bat
and
very well, showed a lot of fight. Yep,
he
yep.
brought
Yep.
that lead under 50, and that was frustrating to watch from an Indian perspective
Funnily
as
enough,
well.
that worried me a little bit though as well because the ball was doing a lot less at in that period. Although
Yeah.
Stark did bat very well and Boomer was still bowling some jaffas, the ball was doing less, and I thought, crap, we
Yes.
need to take wickets with this new ball, and we didn't. So this is what's happened. Um, it's one thing, losing wickets yesterday to, one of the all-time greats in Bumrah. Like, we've had the privilege of watching cricket for well over 20 years now. I put Bumrah right up there in the bowlers I've seen.
Oh,
So,
I mean,
like right up there. I'm not, and this is not an
147,
exaggeration.
147 years of cricketing history. The guy average is second on the list of
It's second on
bowlers
the
ever
list for
of
bowlers
150
above
wickets.
150 wickets. Yeah,
Oh,
for bowlers above 150 wickets, he's second on the list. Um, he's just unbelievable because he's at you all the time. He can blast the opposition out no matter where they're playing. And when you're up against that, okay, you're going to have some bad moments. but it's the way you respond. And I thought today Australia didn't really respond that well. We didn't fight fire with fire as such, and I thought it was a bit of a defeatist attitude, and we sort of let things drift a little bit, and then we tried to recover things in the final session, but it just got a bit too difficult, a bit too flat.
Yep. Well, you
The
still got
batsman's done, I
Rishabh
thought.
Pant and Washington Sundar to come as well. So,
That's good.
um,
Thanks for the reminder.
yep, yep.
Bloody hell, Rishabh
And
Pant
if
hasn't even batted.
I just hope Virat Kohli gets in it too as well. So, yeah, one can hope. One person can hope.
Listen, I think look, this is a long series, right? And from here on in, you don't want to get belted from an Australian perspective. You
Yep,
want to go into that second game, even if you do end up losing with say, okay, we fought back really well in that test match, batted well in the last innings. We stuffed up in certain areas, but there's still 4 games to go. That's got to be the attitude from here that, we've got to try fight back
yep,
and give it our best and start tomorrow fast.
yep. And
Um,
from an
Faster than
Indian,
today, that's for sure.
yeah, from an Indian perspective, I think nothing changes for the batters. I think they just have to keep applying themselves like they did
It's
today.
day 3 tomorrow.
Yeah,
You're not even halfway through the test.
exactly. Just keep batting according to the merit, and I think the runs will flow at a slow pace, but I think they'll flow.
Well, look, when Rishabh Pant comes in, it won't be a slow pace, and
Yep,
Australia's bowlers will be tired, ground down
yep.
into the dirt. The morale of the bowlers will be even lower. So you got
Uh,
Rishabh Pant coming in
uh,
against that is going to be a big problem.
let's not forget Jaiswal as well. Once he reaches three figures, he can really take on the bowlers
And then
with,
that's the
especially
guys
with the
coming in
old
now, and
ball.
Virat Kohli can find some form.
Yep.
With Australia on the
Oh,
mat. Paddy Carr can get some runs. But then what India have got now with Rohit Sharma coming in is what I spoke about in the preview. What happens if Rahul has a big game, which he
mm.
has done? What do you do now?
The best
So
option. I mean, the best option would be to have Rohit Sharma bat at number 3, possibly, and then Gale goes at number 5. But that all depends on where they want Rishabh Pant to bat as well.
Well, it's
Because
interesting because you told me before the series Gill has to bat 3 because he's your long-term 3. So you've
exactly,
changed that now?
I did. But the other option is Rohit Sharma has to bat 6. And look, I don't mind that, but from where I'm sitting at the moment, KL Rahul and Jaiswal can't
That's
vacate
not the
that.
worst. I think Rohit should bat at 6
Yep.
personally. I wouldn't break this opening partnership, and Rahul has shown he's got the game to handle these conditions.
Yep, and it all depends whether Gill is fit for the second test match as well, with the fractured finger. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting when Rohit Sharma comes back and Gill is not fit, or even Gill is not fit, then who India leave out? Because remember, Shami might come back as well for the Adelaide Test match, so one of the fast bowlers
Beautiful.
can sit
Nice.
sit out
Shammy
as
as
well.
well.
So
That's great. Shammy with the pink ball. You beauty. We're cooking here. This is great. So what is it?
it'll be
We've
fun.
got since the since 2014-15, if you include the last 2 tests of that series, Australia have won 2 of the last 10 test matches at home to India. 2 of the last 10, before this one. So
Yep.
it's looking like it'll be 2 out of 11. And overall, it's 4 from the past 18 when you include the Indian series as well over there. So happy days.
Never thought I'll see this as a 10-year-old. Never thought I'll see this. I mean, this is good cricket from India.
Yeah, mate, not
This is
good.
heartwarming for me. That
Yeah.
little kid in me is satisfied at the moment. Is content at the moment. And look,
And it just
I'll
happened
be
to
honest.
be,
I'm a
yeah,
realist.
it just happened to
Anything
be
can
that
go
an
wrong.
Australia fan and an India fan did a podcast and this happens as well.
Yeah. And look, anything can go wrong for the rest of the series, but let's just enjoy this moment at the moment, because I know you will have your day in the sun as well pretty soon. So yeah, let's see what happens.
We'll see. Thanks, Nash. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. You can follow us on at Crickblog Pod on Instagram and X, and Crickblog TV for all of the videos from our dailies, our podcasts, and everything else. Thanks, Nash.
Thank
Thanks,
you. Have a good
everyone.
night. See
India
you
looking
tomorrow.
good.